Hi, again, Carala. I said I was going to do a video on auxiliary, and it's going to be a very short video. Just looking at auxiliary verbs in English and in Spanish. You know, you have the main verb, right? And then you have an auxiliary verb, auxiliar, and auxiliar means to help. When we were in grade school, when I was in grade school, they used to call it the helper verb. These are verbs that cannot, as auxiliary verbs, because some verbs can be auxiliary as well as main. They can't stand on their own. They're only there to help the main verb. For example, the verb to talk is only a main verb. But the verb to be can be an auxiliary verb and a main verb. As a main verb is I am Carala, right? Right? Or you are Carala, or she is Carala, or he is John. Okay. There, the verb to be is a main verb. But if I'm using the verb to be in order to help me with another verb, I am, right? So I want to, now the main verb, and depending on a lot of different things, what form that verb takes, but I am speaking. The verb to be is there, it's not the main verb, it's only there to help. So let's look at the auxiliary verbs in Spanish, in English, and let's look at the auxiliary verbs in Spanish. In English, the auxiliary verbs are to be, to have, can, not to can. It doesn't have an infinitive form. There are several verbs that do not have an infinitive form, and can is one of them. So it's can, may. I'm going to skip this one right here. Used to, might, should. In English, in order to form two of our tenses, the future tense says, and the conditional tense is, we have auxiliary verbs, unlike in Spanish, where the ending is used, like hablaré, hablaría. One is I will talk, the other is I would talk. In Spanish, you don't have that. In English, you don't have that. You have to add an auxiliary verb. For the future, it's will. Now, will has more than one meaning, a lot more than one meaning. But one is will, and the other is would, right? Or could, right? Could is podría, right? Could is, I don't know, would is I would be, sería. Okay, and then the last one is to know how. Those are all auxiliary verbs that cannot stand on their own as auxiliary. Okay? As auxiliaries. Because in English, you just can't take one word and just say, boom, this is it. In Spanish, the auxiliary verbs are ser, estar, haber. Haber means now it's used a lot, but when you use it in the perfect tenses, for example, I have eaten, I had eaten, I will have eaten, I will have eaten, I would have eaten. That's when you use haber. Now, I know you hear the verb have, but have, the verb tener, is only used when you're talking about possession. Right? Possession, or tener que, what you have to do. But when you're using it in the perfect tenses, as well as other times, but basically in the perfect tenses, it's I have eaten, he comido, had eaten, había comido, will have eaten, habré comido, would have eaten, habría, or hubiera, depending on how you're saying it, comido. Okay, so haber is to have when you're talking about an auxiliary verb to help make a tense. Then you have the verb poder, deber, soler, and then saber. Those are the auxiliary verbs. Okay, I finished. Verbs. Right? If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you're more than welcome to write on the page, and I'll read it. And if you leave somehow, I can get back in contact with you. So once again, this is Carala Ficklin McLean. After I don't know how many videos on verbs, let me just do this one more time so that you know that if you see this, this is us. This is we. Who says that, right? This is us, and this is istudyguides.com, and this is our new logo, and it's done by Mr. Abdul, but everybody calls him Abdul, but his name is Matsin Cadet Ficklin. Thank you very, very much. You have a very good day. Bye.